about more about the challenges of a webtoon creator. How can you challenge yourself? How can you be dictated to your project, to your comic? So in the end, you will have readers, you will have fans. So the most important part is that you start. You start doing and making your dreams come true. Well, let's welcome here our guest, LAGGEHEE.
LAGGEHEE.
How are you doing, LAGGEHEE?
I'm right here. I'm just chilling. Yeah.
Great.
How about you?
I would like you to first to share the links, of the video on your social media. I'll be sending you the links directly right now as people are watching us.
Mhm. Yes.
So, I sent you the scripted questions first, but I am going to ask you unscripted fun questions first before we head to the actual ones I sent you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, the first one is, how did you get your special powers,
My
special
special powers,
artistic
like
powers?
mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
superpowers
So,
like Spider-Man or Batman or Superman.
well, I've always liked drawing. Like, I think I was influenced most by the animated shows I've seen on TV. But like Ben 10, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, I thought they're really cool. Like, they even have these transformations. Yeah, I think for years I have kept on drawing those cartoons. Yeah, that led me to improve my artistic ability. And then have you heard of K Zone? I think it's a kids magazine. They have mini comics inside them, and I think those were my first encounters with comics. Yeah.
Hmm.
So from then on, yeah, I tried drawing my comics, and I think they're really fun. And up until now, I've kept on drawing. Like that's the very thing about drawing. Like if you keep on drawing, your artistic skill will improve.
Where are you from?
Me, I'm from
Yeah,
I'm from the Philippines. Yeah,
Philippines.
I live in Cebu. It's like in the middle of the Philippines.
Do you have comic artists, illustrators at Philippines?
What?
Do you
What
have
did you
comic
say?
artists and illustrators at Philippines?
Yeah, yeah. I think there are like uh the newest like there's an animated adaptation of a popular comic in the Philippines. You know, Trece,
Mhm.
like Netflix animated Trece. That's a very that's from a Filipino comic artist.
Mm. Well, I would like to know a secret that your fans, your readers on Webtoon, the readers of your Webtoon, an imposter among us, your Webtoon. Tell us today a secret that your readers and your fans doesn't know.
Like a secret,
Yeah.
like like a spoiler or something, or
No.
uh,
A secret about
about
you. Do
me.
you play video? Something related to video games, to movies, something like this.
No, I yeah, my comic is an imposter among us, right? And it's a fan comic of Among Us. But
Yeah.
ironically, I don't really play the game that very much. Like I don't play Among Us very often. Like I'm just making the comic.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is shocking actually to all your fans.
yeah. It's
Oh,
so ironic that I don't play the game, but I make the comic.
mhm. Do you have other hobbies?
Hobbies. I like music. I've tried writing my own songs, but I've never really finished one. So
Mhm.
yeah, that music.
That's cool. Well, we would like to start with actual questions I already sent
Mhm.
you. So, how did you start your webtoon?
So the webtoon I have now,
Yeah,
like
yeah. How did you start it?
um, it was created last year September. Like Among Us was very popular that time. Like people were making fan arts, and I also made a fan art, but I didn't like the part where I didn't get the same amount of attention that the other fan arts got. And at that time, I was in the works of my supposedly first
Yeah.
webtoon, Alpha, and it was like the planets aligned for this very moment, since I was unhappy with my fan arts like count and that I was making a webtoon. The idea hit me one time when I was playing Among Us. Like I thought this game's concept is very interesting. It's very simple, but it's deep. This game
Mhm,
should have a story.
mhm.
Then I thought, wait, what if I make the story? The fan art I made didn't get that much likes. So what if I make a series of fan arts, like a comic of some sort, and maybe that way I get their attention. And boy, was I right. That one chapter I posted, it was open ended, and I had the choice to stop right there, or I could make it longer. And then I never created the characters' personalities back then. Like they were pure clean sheets of paper. But since I got the attention of thousands of people, I decided to finish the comic series. Like that was an opportunity for me to build an audience and for me to have a practice comic, like before moving on to much larger projects.
I was
So
going to ask you about this actually. So we are going to leave this part about the future project later on this interview.
okay, so
So, well, artist
yeah.
Rasha is saying hello, LAGGEHEE.
Oh,
She,
hello,
she's an
hello there.
artist too on Webtoon.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
She says, "Yeah, I have seen that famous anime, and it's Therese anime, and it's amazing." Well,
Mhm.
so how do you find time to work on your webtoon? Are you a student?
Yeah, I'm a student. I'm currently I'm becoming a college student now.
Hmm.
Mhm.
How do you find time? How do you prepare your schedule so you can work on webtoon and respect deadlines, respect your schedule, be dictated to it?
Well, I've tried making schedules for myself like maybe 3 times now, but each one only worked for several weeks because there are and will always be factors that will ruin the schedules. Like there will be sudden deadlines, sudden things I need to do. They just break my pressure lesser schedule. So right now, I think the best way to manage my time is if I just set a number of hours for me to work. Like I need to work for at least 3 hours today, or maybe like I need to at least finish 8 panels today, something like that. And that way it's guaranteed that I'm progressing instead of just letting the time flow loosely.
Hmm. So,
Mhm.
how many hours do you work per day on your comic?
Well, during the first few episodes that I worked on the comic, like it was 12 hours a day, I think, because I literally did not have anything better to do that time. But now I at least work 3 hours now because I
Three
learned the
hours
hard
per
way that,
day.
yeah, I
Hmm.
learned the hard way that overexerting myself is bad.
Hmm.
So yeah, 3 hours a
And
day.
are you able to finish the same quality and same frequency of work you did in the 12 hours into these three with these 3 hours you're working per day?
Actually, the 3 hours per day is better actually because I have more time for me to make the panels instead of just rushing them into for me to post every week. Now I
Hmm.
just post my comics once a month.
Hmm. Well, did any of the creators of An Imposter Among Us try to reach you?
No, actually, I tried reaching out to them, but no, I don't think they've noticed that I made a fan comic of their work.
Well, that's their loss, actually, because I think what you're doing is really fun.
Thank you.
Well, thanks to you for making this funny comic, actually. So, you just told us about how did you start working on An Imposter Among Us and the ideas that came to your head, but I'm going to ask you about the influences that have influenced you to make stories like this. Is there any
Well,
other things other than the game itself?
yeah, there are. There's the like when I was younger, I was most influenced by the DC and Marvel comics, but like when I like right now, I'm most influenced by the Japanese and the Korean comics, like the mangas
What
and
did you read
manhwas.
for Marvel and DC?
It was mostly Spider-Man. I only read Spider-Man. Most of them were, yeah, yeah. I don't think I've read anything other than Spider-Man.
And the mangas you're reading?
The mangas I read, there's Demon Slayer,
Hmm.
Dragon Ball, One
Hmm.
Piece. There's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Yeah, I've
Hmm.
read so much mangas and manhwas. So Solo
That's
Leveling is for the Korean one. I like Solo Leveling very much. The art style is very good.
that's cool. Well, you just mentioned that you are trying with An Imposter Among Us because you do have a bigger project in your head. You have a future project,
Yes,
upcoming project. So we would like to know about this project.
so I have actually I have set two paths for myself. The first direction is to for the webtoons, and for the other one is for the print comics. For the print comics, I've actually started this idea when I was in maybe when I was in fourth grade. It's like the Marvel and the DC ones. Like I'm attempting to make a hero universe where there are, you know, like special characters with special powers. They have their own team. The very first one I'm going to make is titled Red Rebel. It's actually an anti-hero.
An
He
anti-hero.
Yes, he's should I explain the story?
Yeah, we can have a small summary for it, so your fans will be expecting what are you preparing or what's coming up next.
So
Just a
Red
small
Rebel,
summary. You don't have to say every
uh,
little detail about the project.
Red Rebel is mostly about this young boy named Ryan Winterstein. He has abusive parents, and he the dark part here is that he actually killed his parents because he's had enough of that abusive treatment that he's having every day. And in the future, he'll meet another guy his same age, and he keeps thinking that that guy has a bad parent. I also need to kill his bad parent, but that actually is the reason why the story is so messed up. Um,
Mhm.
Red Rebels, Red Rebel is about his journey to trying to find out what family actually means because he's never actually had a good family.
Mhm.
And then for the webtoon path, my first webtoon that I'm going to publish, other than the one I have, is Alpha, but it's spelled A, like the letter A. It's Alpha. It's about a young boy named Abel. He's found this magical rock. I call them geodes. They
Mhm.
give the character special powers. but they're actually based from the Philippines. Um, the agimat, where there are special stones that give protection and power to the one wearing it. And this guy's goal for the story is for him to find out what they are, what the geodes are, and I'm going to make it little. I'm going to make the story have a lot of slice of life scenes because I want the readers to love the characters more than
That's awesome. That's awesome.
mhm.
This is a so rich story you're going to have here. I'm going to ask you about the release date or when you're going to release it. But first, let's. Uh, Krosto Gore is saying hello. To
Hello.
you. So hello. And here, Rituals Orphan is asking you 3 hours a day. You're working 3 hours a day.
Yes, I work 3 hours a day because my arms can't handle more than that. I limited myself to 3 hours a day because my arms would actually get hurt from this small workstation that I have. It's uncomfortable.
Mhm. Well, our audience, please feel free to send us your questions. We are here today to answer your questions about Webtoon, starting the Webtoon, and if you are a fan for an Imposter Among Us and would like to ask any questions to Lagi on live, on camera, today is the day you do so. So here's your chance. Uh, Cross the Gore is saying, I'm really a fan of Imposter Among Us. Many thanks to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, remember to send us your questions. So, when are we expecting this Red Rubble?
Red Rebel. Yeah. I think in 2023. Yeah, I think it.
2023.
I'm going to finish it all, like the first to the very end before I start posting it, like by episode, because
Mhm,
I feel like that way I would have more. I mean, less pressure on posting consistently.
mhm. Well, we got a question here, another for Crosto, asking, can I ask what's your inspiration for creating Among Us? He
Well,
just
the
said
game
that, but
itself.
maybe you can go in more details.
Well, the game itself inspired me to make the story, like the story is already there in the game. There's the concept. The goal of the game is to find out who the imposter is. So that's what my story's goal is: find out who the imposter is, and eventually win against that imposter. And then for other inspirations other than the game itself, mm, yeah, I think it's because I was making my own my own webtoon that time. I really can't think of anything else. It was mainly because of the game and yeah, my working a webtoon.
Hmm. Well, thanks for you, Cross, for your questions. Feel free to send us any more question you'd like to ask. Today is the day to ask Lagi any questions from fans directly to him. So,
Ask away.
when you are writing stories for an Imposter Among Us or Red Rubble, you just mentioned, how do
Hmm.
you start writing? Do you have a small notebook website? You just write a small summary of the upcoming story, of a new arc, of a new chapter that's coming to your head. After that, you go a little in more detail in perfecting this little part. What's the process of you writing before you start making the art?
But for the story, I don't really force it. Like it's just an idea. Like it starts there. Like it just
Mhm.
grows and grows through the different stuff you see. Like you have to gather the different things to connect to that one idea. Like they don't even have to be compatible. Like I'm I make it sound so simple, but it's really not. So basically, you have to write down the characters, the setting, the problem, how they're going to solve the problem, and how it will all end. So from those five, I think you're going to have to go creative. Like ask yourself, what's the best way for me to introduce these characters? Like how do I make sure the mood is shown in the scene? Like those five things. Like um, they are the very backbone of a story arc. I think like that's how you're basically going to yeah, those five. Like they're you have to connect and narrate those five things seamlessly. Like but in Among Us, like I don't really write that much in the in each episode. Like I use my computer's notepad, like the handy dandy notepad. Like they're written in a script form. Like the text are numbered to which panel they're supposed to be in. Like in
Mhm.
panel one, I put, "What are you doing here?" And in panel two, I put, "I thought you were sick." And then in panel three, I changed I put a label that the speaker change. Let's call him Ray, and then he'll say, "Oh no, I've been caught." And then after that, like for panel four, I put an action move in between two asterisks. Like the action move will be runs away, and then I continue doing that to the end of an episode. Like it's sort of like a storyboard or something, but without the illustrations because I keep
Mhm.
the images in my mind.
Mhm.
Like yeah, but for the Red Rebel, I think I'm going to make it write it down like a like a novel or some sort. Yeah, because
So
it's
it
one
can
of the
help you. So it can help you more while making the comic, right?
yes, like you have to have the important points written down.
Mhm. That's cool. That's so cool. Well, Phantom Jerry is saying hi. So hi to you, Phantom.
Hi.
Here's another question from Crosto. Was it your imagination alone creating your stories?
Yes, it was all my imagination. Like I and for the Among Us, I actually referenced it from the game. Like um I researched the inspirations of the game itself. Like there's the thing from like an old movie, John Carpenter's old movie. Like I just followed where the creators of the game were following. But
Hmm.
if yeah, the other than the Among Us, my imaginations are purely from me.
Well, you just saying told us about tips and how do you write stories for an imposter among us and for the red rubble we'll be expecting in 2023. But we're going to ask you about how do you draw your comics? What's the drawing process? What's the process you are using to make your own comics? Do you draw them with graphic tablets or with normal tablets, with screen tablets, or traditional art first, or use the game? Uh, what do you do actually?
I draw them. I used to draw the sketches on paper first, and then with the computer, I use Photoshop. I just draw it in Photoshop. But now I have this baby right here. It's actually a Vion. Is that how you pronounce it? Vion.
This is
Yeah, they're
Hion,
the
right?
I don't know, but they're the I know them for that they are the Wacom alternative. Like it's a
Hmm.
cheaper Wacom alternative. So yeah, I draw using this drawing tablet. Um, and then just start sketching each panel from what I described in that notepad, like the one I mentioned earlier. Like I just
Mhm.
copy and paste the details there into the software, and yeah, I first start sketching everything that I've written down there, like just the sketches, and then after I finish the whole episode sketches, I finalize each one of them, like the line art and then the color, and then
Mhm.
after that, I just I just post it on Webtoon.
Hmm. Well, Cross was saying, "Yeah, how do you draw?" So he did support my question. Actually, my question came in perfect timing with you, Cross. Though. Oh, AJ is asking you another thing here. What do you plan to do next after finishing your stories?
Well, I make more. Like I there's still a lot of stories in my right now. Like there are over 50 characters, like 50 solo characters in my mind. Like there's a whole universe in my mind right now. So I don't think that I'm going to finish them that fast. So yeah, I am still going to make stories after finishing the stories I've planned.
Those 50 characters are from for an imposter among us, or for Red Rebel, or for another stories.
Like for another story, like they're
Oh wow,
like each of them are the main characters of their own stories.
that's
I've
awesome.
written them all down so that I won't forget, because I keep forgetting. I'm a forgetful person. I write them all down. Like inspirations are, they sometimes just, fade away, so I have to write them down as soon as possible.
Amazing, actually. Well, so you just mentioned the process you're making your drawing and making
Hmm?
illustrations. So is layouts and making someone else important to you to help you thinking the same way you are making some preparations for your writings? Do you use some nails and layouts before you start drawing?
Yes, yes, layouts are important. They are truly important because layouts are basically how you arrange the panels, the drawings, the text.
Mhm.
They help make the scenes. I modify the layouts to make a scene more effective. Like
Yeah,
the arrangement of the panels help the readers create an area of focus, and sometimes like the shapes of the panel can create illusionary actions, like like leaning and falling if you shape it into a trapezoid. So yeah,
that's so true.
layouts are
That
important. But for the
that's so true.
imposter among us, I only use one layout. Like it only has one specific layout. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not
That's
really
cool.
I don't really mm,
Well, Cross does have three questions are coming for you. So first one is, when did you start to draw?
when I think the last I can remember is that when I was in second grade, where I was drawing those, those eyes. Artists usually draw those eyes if they actually draw some other parts of the bodies, and yeah, it was in second grade.
Second
I
grade.
used to draw. Yeah,
Hmm.
they were all stickmen. I draw stickmen in grade two.
We all did draw the stickman.
Yeah, they're
It
just so
was
they're just
our
small.
way out from school.
Yeah,
Well, he does cross to say says, I will be here to support you in your other stories. Well, actually, I'm supporting you too, Luggy. So here is
thank
your
you.
super fan, Crostos, saying to support you,
I
and I am here to support you, and all of our audience here is supporting you.
I'm actually very thankful. I appreciate it. It means so much.
Well, Crosto is asking you, any tips how to create good stories and drawing?
Um, I don't know about the story part, but for the drawing, um, you just have to study drawing. Like for me, I learned drawing through myself. Like during school, like I always doodle in school. Like when I don't need to, listen to my teacher when during discussions, like my hands are free, so I just draw them while listening to the teacher. So I kept doing that for years. But yeah, but it's also good to maybe watch some art tutorials on YouTube. They have some pretty good techniques there to learn. Like I also watch YouTube art tutorials. Uh yeah, like, but the main thing about is that you have to really practice hard. Like you have to practice. You may not it may be boring, or maybe sometimes you get art block or something, but yeah, you just have to draw. Try drawing. It's important. Well,
Oh,
and maybe for the creating good stories, um I don't know, maybe try imitating the good stories that you consider. Like you have
mhm.
to maybe learn why you like this movie so much. Like for me, I think that's where I got my writing ability. Like I just watch movies and then I learn everything. Like I follow the scenes. Why this scene is so effective? I try to imitate that. So yeah, and sometimes maybe books. Books are also good. They're, yeah, try
Oh,
books.
well, I'm going to tell you across to a couple of more tips here with like the first one is he just said it. Read books. Read books if we are going to make science fiction. Read science fiction. If going to write about romance, read more about romance. Or if you got by any chance to watch a movie or a show based on a novel or a comic or a reading book, try reading the written book and watching the same show again. Like reading The Lord of the Rings after watching The Lord of the Rings, it's going to give you much more experience. Actually, I found that the movies of the Lord of the Rings that didn't have all the rich details that got included into the novels. The same thing with the Game of Thrones and other stories. So you'll have to read more books as much as you can. This is going to help you to build your own imagination. When I am drawing in Smile, my webtoon, you can find it on Webtoon too. When I'm working on it, I do read more science fiction books and more actual medical books. Actually, my mother is a doctor and my uncle is a doctor. I run to them asking questions about DNA and RNA codes, so I can understand them more actually, so I can add more depth and more richness to the story I am working on. Another thing those are tips for the writing your stories. As for the drawing, the first thing is you have to keep it a habit that you daily you have to draw gesture, try to draw quick drawings of poses of humans, animals, men, women, buildings, cars, anything you can lay your eyes on, just try to sketch it down. It's going to help you have a huge bank in your mind, a huge artistic bank in your mind that helps you whenever you want to illustrate or draw any scene. As just try for a day, maybe each day, try to design a character from your mind. If you read maybe Moby Dick, the novel by Herman, try designing Captain Ahab, or try to make your own design for the whale, Moby Dick, the whale. So here's my tips with Lucky. I hope we covered your questions. Well, we are going to move to the next question from Crustus. Crustus does seem it seems you're a super fan actually.
Yeah, he keeps asking questions. That's good though.
What webtoons do you really like to read?
Well, there's there's Wonderworld. It's a Greek Greek story. Like main characters are Hades and Persephone. Like I want to like follow that kind of art style because the author of Thunderworld actually made it for a print comic, but she elegantly reformatted into reformatted her webtoon her comic into webtoon. Like it's smoothly vertical, and you might not even tell that it was first meant for a printed comic.
Print version
Yeah,
of the comic.
I love that one comic,
Webtoon readers
Thunderworld.
doesn't love to read comic version of their stories. They don't. They hate this.
Yeah, it's maybe because webtoons are vertical, and then the printed versions are they I think they feel like they're cramped or something, like they
Mhm.
don't have the space.
Mm, that's so right. Well, here's another question from Crosto. When you're drawing, do you need reference?
Yes, I use reference like for the Among Us. The backgrounds are usually the ones that I need to reference a lot since I'm not making up the um the setting. I didn't make up the setting. I only make up the story. I reference a lot from the game, the backgrounds, and the characters are very simple. So I don't think I need to reference the characters. But yes, refer I use a lot of references.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, I agree with what like you just said. When you are trying to create a character or create a monster maybe or an alien, and you need do a reference, you need to understand carefully what you are designing. So if you are like designing an alien shape with a fish bug, you have to understand the anatomy of the fish and the anatomy of the bug, so you can mix them both together so they can look so real to the audience and to the readers. So if you want to design this creature in a funny way, you will have to design it based on funny shaped a funny shaped fish or a funny shaped bug, or are going to make a horror story, you're going to change it vice versa. So many thanks for your questions, Crosto. Feel free, please, our audience, feel free to send us all of your questions. We are here today to answer all of your questions. And we got Lagir to answer all of your questions, but he is not going to answer any questions about spoilers because he doesn't
Okay.
want to spoil the fun. Christo is thanking us. Thank you so much. Thanks to you. Actually, thanks for your questions. Like
Yeah.
he did love the answers to your question. I did love answering your question too. Um, you mentioned about Greeks. Do you plan doing some like from Almats of PH?
So yeah, I think he's asking me about the in the Philippines. Like yes, I like for the webtoon mentioned Alpha. The second season is going to tackle a lot about the Philippine legends, the myths in the Philippines, because Alpha is actually a Philippine-based comic.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, Crosto did send us another question, but before we head to that question, I'm going to ask you a question from the scripted questions I just sent you. How do you
Yeah.
deal with writer's block slash artist block?
Well, I think hard. I brainstorm, and if I can't solve that issue immediately, I take a break. Like watch shows, eat, rest, talk to friends about the issue. Like sometimes friends can really help you in fixing something, like because they're different people and different people have different perspectives in looking about certain situations. So yeah, I usually just do that, like taking breaks. Yes, because I don't want to force it. Like if I force it, it would just sometimes it might come out bad. So I usually just stop. I just stop and take a break. Breaks
Hmm.
are important. It's also
From
for
writing and from the art.
yeah, it's a way to refresh your brain.
Hmm, that's cool. Well, another question is from Crosto. What if you have something in your mind, but suddenly the story stopped? How do you continue? Well, we was talking about the writer's block actually right now, but feel free to answer this question, Lucky.
Like what if I made I don't think that happens though. I don't think that happens to me, but yeah, when how do I continue it?
You do have many stories running around up your head.
Yes, I just find inspirations. If I forget about it, I just re reconstruct it using another inspiration. Like inspirations build the imagination. Like you have to see things in order for you to you know to be able to imagine more.
Hmm. Well, are you planning to add any future characters to your story in Imposter Among Us?
Well, actually, yes. But I don't think I have to. I don't want to spoil or anything. But yes, there will surely be new characters in the story.
Mhm. Well,
But yeah, I'm not going to talk about it.
an Imposter Among Us is based on a character that's going to die in the story, right? So
What?
this is the game. This is actually the game. So when
Yes.
you kill a character in your story, how do you
Hmm.
deal with angry fans?
What? No, I just I usually just follow the story that I've planned. Among Us is about death. Like that's the theme of Among Us. There's always death. So whatever, like if they love the characters too much, if they got attached too much, then I'm so sorry. But yes, I actually planned to kill the characters in the most maybe hurtful or most memorable way, so that I like epic deaths. I don't know why, but it's not because I want to hurt the fans or anything. Like it's just in the game. I'm just following what's in the game. They're meant to die, so at least their deaths have to be epic. So I'm super sorry.
So you do kill many characters in an Imposter Among Us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, your fans, I'm sure your fans are going to hate you for that.
I know, I know. I just pray. I just wish that they'd stay, even though their favorite character is dead. That's actually very risky. But I'm just following the game. Yeah.
Oh, here's another question from Cross2 asking you, do you plan on doing some thriller webtoons?
Yes. Red Rebel is actually thriller. It's dark and yeah, it's a thriller webtoon.
Until Lagir comes here with Red Rebel, I do have a thriller webtoon on it's called And Smile on
Yeah, you
Webtoon,
should read it.
and Lagi here, thanks to him, actually, he posted it on his latest episode post on Webtoon. So thanks to you, Lagi, for showing and showing my project, showing my book for me and my wife, actually.
Yeah, it's a very
Oh,
interesting webtoon.
thanks, man. Thanks. So many thanks. So our last couple questions for this interview. What do you want to tell your audience through your stories?
Well, I think I would want to tell my audience that, you know, like I just hope that they'd be able to relate with the characters in my stories. Like each character have their own problems, and I hope by coming up with a solution to the characters' problems, I hope that my audience would also find solutions to their own problems. Like I aim to educate, encourage, and entertain. Yeah, I hope that they'd be like that. Like educate, encourage, and entertain. Yeah, that's three E's right there. Yeah.
Hmm. That's cool. Well, um, is there any tips and tricks you would like to share with your audience to make their process go easier with life or making Webtoon? If they have already an idea for a future Webtoon, but they are so scared to start or don't know where to start or how to start. Do you have any tips and tricks to share with our audience?
Well, first things first. You know, just start. Just take a leap of faith. You won't know where that will get you. But here's also two things. There's, you have to set your goal straight, and you have to remember to take breaks. Breaks are part of the creative process. It's when we recover from working and where we replenish our mental and physical energy.
Hmm.
So what I meant about setting your goals is that you can determine how important your stories will be, like how your creation. Like I have big goals for my comic making career, so I know that I have a lot to sacrifice and that I have a lot to work hard for. So I know it's going to be tiring, but that's okay since that's what I want and what I hard is hard to get. So I used to have this mindset where I tell myself that I have to work harder than anyone else, or I won't get to where I want to be. But like I said, breaks are really important, and I learned that the hard way. I had to juggle school, my comics, and housework, which wasn't entirely good. It didn't end good. And if your goal is to, and if your goal isn't that big, like you just want to make comics for fun or as a side thing, then you can just chill. There's no pressure to it. Just be casual about it, and you don't have to take it seriously. And one more thing, you may need to research about comics before actually trying, like the tools to be used, the softwares to be used, those kinds of stuff. I do that because I try to live life with the least amount of regrets, and it's for you to spend your finances wisely because you might buy something that's not actually very good, or you might buy something that's too good for you, and you might not need it right now, but you might need it in the future. And then one last thing, if you
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
decide
Feel
to
free. Feel free.
if you ever decide to make a comic, I highly recommend you to do it for you, like not for the audience. Like you should not expect that many people will be reading your comic from the very first day that you posted it. Don't change your story uh, if your readers want changes that you don't like especially if that change you're going to make will ruin the story. And if money is the reason why you're making a comic, I recommend you to just get a job because making comics and making money through comics is really hard. So make comics just because you want to do it.
You just nailed it. Actually, you just said. I love what you said. Actually, what you said is just so true to our audience, to your fans, to anyone who is watching this podcast. This is so true. If you do want to make your comic, make your novel, make your project a hit, or you want to make it look professional, stop looking for money. Stop looking for money. It's going to tie you down. It's going to keep you from achieving and making your own goals and making your own dreams. Well, many thanks to you, Lucky. Actually, we learned so much from your experience today. We learned so much from our audience too, from the questions.
Thank you.
Well, thanks to you and thanks to our audience.
Thanks for having me.
Um, Oh, so it's so fun. Well, for our audience here, please feel free to check my channel here on YouTube. It does have many interviews for other artists and creators from Warner Brothers and Disney creators, Disney character designers. So we all can benefit from their experience and understand the secrets behind at the back of the kitchen of the industry. So many thanks for watching us and sticking with us today. Looking forward for next week interview. Goodbye.
Subscribe to Andrew Henry.